to another episode of St Vincent Untold Stories.
On this episode, we look at Winston Hall from Barbados, the bravest and the most feared man to ever step foot on a Vincentian, Bajan and Trinidadian soil. Remember I did that episode with the Grenadian Sheldon Bain. I did the Webster Woodley episode, and I did Moses Thickskin episode. If you thought that those guys were the roughest, get your Coca-Cola, and for those who don't drink Coca-Cola, get us off a drink, get some popcorn, time to tune in. Big ups to all of my subscribers. And if you're new to the channel, please remember to hit the subscribe button, the like button, and the bell icon if you wish to see more videos like these. Do you remember a time word was circulating saying that there were pirates on the waters of Barbados and there were Bajan fugitives in the mountains of St Vincent? Well, one of those guys that sent shock waves throughout the Rastafarian community was one Winston Hall. There was a time in St. Vincent when everyone went in early on curfew. They locked their windows, they locked their doors, and some of the Rastafarians refused to go into the mountains as police was searching for one Winston. It is alleged that Hall and some other men had gone to rob on a plantation in Barbados. But while they were taking the set off, the owner for the property came in, and it is said that he identified the men by name, but the men did not want to go to prison, so they squeezed the machine and sent the man to the graveyard. The men went on the run, but several witnesses had identified them, and the police finally caught up with them, and they went to the court. You see, back in those days, in Barbados, if you had sent a plantation owner to the graveyard, you will live in jail forever. It is alleged that Winston knew St. Vincent very well, as before, when he was doing the robberies, he came to St. Vincent and traded items with the Rastafarians in the mountains of Chateaubriand and the mountains of Fancy. So Winston came to St. Vincent by boat. But while in the mountains, one of the Rastafarians heard that he was a wanted man. And the Bobo Jeddah decided to stay away from the mountains for months. You see, back in those days, there were men who respected the top shotters from Barbados and St. Lucia because they knew that those men did not think twice. So when Winston told one of the boys, shine the shoes, he ran immediately and shined the shoes. When Winston said, bring the ital, he ran and he brought the ital. You see, back in those days, there was no AK, there was no gold teeth, no Trevor Bailey, no Francis. Because if it was a day like today, these men would have already caught Winston Hall. You see what they did in the Belmont area, right? And we all know that Trevor Bailey doesn't joke around. If he said that he would get you, he's going to get you. Back in those days, Winston was rugged, and the ladies wanted to be with him. So there were ladies that heard wanted man was in the bush, and they wanted to go up there to get some heavy doing. It is alleged that Hall did send some green substance with a friend to sell off in Barbados. But there was no order from the friend. Allegations are that the friend was caught by the Bajan authorities and immediately he sold out in exchange to come back to St. Vincent. You see, back in those days, once you were caught with the green substance, you was put to kneel, and four thick men would come with batons and start to beat you until you spoke. Then, when you had surrendered, you'll be put in the prisons. There were men from St. Vincent who tried to sell the green substance in Barbados illegally. And some of those men did 5 and 10 years on remand, could not hear or see their families again. If you ask men who have went to prisons across the Caribbean, what prison they don't want to go back to, and they would tell you the prison in Barbados. One Rastafarian had told us that his first night in the prison in Barbados was the worst. He said when he rested on his head on the pillow, he saw a thick man just walking up and down in the cell, saying that he's ready for something. So Rasta said, ready for something. I'm a Rastafarian. I don't go down those road, brethren. Straight Rasta. Rasta said, red hot burn. Rasta not deal with them thing, the brother. Yeah, the Rastafarian said the man tell him, when he goes to the bathroom, don't drop the soap. So Rasta said, I am a red fire. You see, there was a lot of men in the cell who did not support those kind of things, especially the respected the Rastafarian. The Dan for the prisoner said, Tick man, go sit down. The man said him not that. And Tick man have to go Kyle him tail immediately. You see, the Dan wanted to build a connection because he knew that the Rastas were planting the green substance. It is alleged that some men ran into the bush and told Winston and the other soldiers that the police was going to raid the bush the night. So they said the best way to do it is to take a boat and go back to Barbados. When Winston ran down to the boat, he was there waiting on the other guys and he fell asleep. And when he woke up, he felt some rope on his hands. The men tied him up and waited until the police came to get him. Shortly after, Winston was extradited back to Barbados. It is alleged that the man went back to prison in Barbados, and some man did a go on with a whole heap of thing inside the jail. Like they wanted to be the notorious when they never ran away, or they never went to any other island. So, Al couldn't take the pressure, so the man decided to run away again. You see, he did not like the trick they had played on him to get him captured back in St. Vincent. So he avoided St. Vincent and he decided to journey to Trinidad. You see, Hall was a far eye, similar to one Bob Marley. He had loved the ladies and he was really good with them. So, all catch up in a relationship inside Trinidad. But you see, the men in South never really like Hall because his accent was a bit different to theirs. So the men decided to set him up because they wanted to know what a Bajan was doing in Trinidad if he had a paper. But you see, the general did not want to stay in Trinidad. So the general cried and said take him back to Barbados and they had to do just that. But here we go on again. The man escaped. You see, it was as if the police was playing a looser ball. How could a man be so slippery to escape out of their hands so many times? It is alleged that some thirsty young recruits came in contact with one hall and they decided to release the machine. Boy, the thing went off and sent Hall straight to the graveyard. It was like if they were looking for points. So there are men who don't know how the trade of the green substance actually started between St. Vincent and Barbados. But Hall was one of the first men who started that illegal trade. Rastafarians had said in the past that they had come across stones with the name Winston Hall written on them. It was as if he wanted to leave a memory to remind persons that he once roamed the mountains of St. Vincent. So the reason why I say that Winston was more skillful than one thick-skin Webster and a Sheldon, it was because Winston had connections, and most youths want to go into badness and they don't have any connection anyway. So once again, we are appealing to the youths. Leave badness alone. There are only three outcomes: jail, cemetery, or the hospital.